In a matter of months working for the many, the changeling, or rather the scapegoat, had more than paid off their debt. Their talent instrumental in restructuring the political landscape of Dogram, making connections for the syndicate, eliminating obstacles, all without a trace as evidence and leads wrapped around their targets like a neat little bow. The other members had relaxed somewhat. After all, sharing quarters and working with someone will garner some level of trust. Nevertheless, they all had an air of discomfort around the scapegoat. They could feel something was just not right with them. They didn't truly know what they looked like. When not wearing the face of a target, the changeling returned to that of the barmaid. It was the one they'd caught, the one they knew, and for some reason the scapegoat had grown fond of it for the time being. But even holding this appearance for so long, nobody truly held eye contact. Something about the eyes just didn't sit right with them. To look through the windows to the soul and see nobody home.
All right, you folks, we've got another one. Wake up!
What?
Some of us actually want to work for a living.
We have been working. We've been doing great. I don't see why I can't take a fucking nap now and then.
Oh, we've been doing great, have we? Want to tell me why the boss just spent an hour chewing me out for leaving behind damning evidence of our last job?
You've got to be fucking kidding me. What evidence?
The kind that talks if we let it. It's not gone off yet, but we have tonight. Otherwise, each and every one of us here is fucked.
The note made a point to look everyone in the eyes with that statement, landing finally on the scapegoat.
Well, I guess not all of us. Only those of us who actually show our true faces.
The scapegoat said nothing at that statement. Nothing they'd say would help, and frankly, they didn't care much about the topic.
Perhaps we should leave them behind for this one.
This, however, they did care for.
Now hang on. Why do I have to miss out on the fun?
That's exactly fucking why. This isn't for fun. This is to save our fucking assets because apparently one of us can't pull off a simple fucking theft. You don't have any sense of urgency, any need for this to be fixed because you go around looking like whoever you want. We, on the other hand, have to get this right or that's it for us.
If you're finished, we need all hands on deck for this. As you say, we need to get this right, so it don't make any sense to be down a member of the team. Besides, it works in our favour for Scapegoat to be spotted destroying the evidence. Is someone unconnected to the organisation.
So we're heading out?
We're heading out.
The cold night air bit harder than usual as winter was beginning to roll in. Even with the chill cutting through them, the scapegoat thought of how calm it felt compared to when they first arrived in this place. A city at rest. Perfect for moving unseen. That aspect of this work was still quite unnatural to them. By nature, they enjoyed being seen, causing commotion and spectacle, but that at least was the eventual result of their work, even if the gratification wasn't instant. Even if they had to work in the shadows, it was still fun. Most of the time.
This is the place. Now, we keep this simple. We go in, we make sure there's nothing left to pin the last job on us, and we get out. Scapegoat leaves last, looking like that stuffy town watch captain who came snooping by the warehouses last week. Make some noise on your way out too. We want you seen.
Of course.
A grin already creeping on their face as the group moved in on the small house. The note quickly climbing up a trellis to an open window. There was a faint light flickering, seemingly not from the room the window led to, but somewhere adjacent. And after a momentary glance, the note gave the all clear for the others to follow. As the last one in, the scapegoat glanced around to make sure they hadn't been spotted yet entering the building, while the others moved in to locate the evidence. The air was still. Silent. No sign of trouble. That was, of course, until they moved fully inside and began to hear a struggle break out from the other room. A muffled cry. Books tumbling off a desk, the snap of wood as people tumbled over onto the floor. Rushing into the room, the scapegoat saw what was unfolding. The note had tackled and begun to bind and gag a frightened-looking elven woman, the resident of this home. As the others began to rifle through the study, tossing books across the room, pulling out drawers, searching for the evidence.
fucking give it a rest, will you?
The group stopped searching, confused.
We've already got what we're after.
He stood up, confident she was sufficiently bound.
Now we just have to make sure she doesn't fucking talk.
The scapegoat watched as the note took a step back to admire their work, before launching a heavy kick into the woman's ribs, as a loud crack could be heard over the muffled screams.
What are you doing?
What do you think we're doing? We're destroying evidence. This bitch spotted us early today, and now we are silencing her before she gets us all fucking put away.
The air no longer felt still, no longer felt calm. It was heavy, sickening. The changeling looked around at this group, at the sickle, already cracking their knuckles, at the forge stepping over from the desk towards the bound woman, and to the note, pressing their foot down on the broken rib. This wasn't right. The changeling watched in horror as they began to beat this woman over and over. This isn't fun, this isn't chaos, this was...
Alright, we've had our fun. Sickle, finish the job.
The sickle reached under their cloak and pulled out a dagger, the blade slick with an oily black-green substance, grabbing the woman by her hair to bring her head back and expose her throat.
Cruelty.
Without thinking, the changeling lunged forwards and tackled the sickle, knocking the dagger from their grasp before the others rushed to pull them off, throwing them to the ground beside the woman as they began to kick and beat them too. The changeling already resigned to their fate, looking into the woman's eyes as their ex-companions continued to kick and stomp and punch, until the sickle picked their dagger back up off the floor and pressed their knee down on the changeling's neck.
I was waiting for this moment, when you'd show your true colours.
Almost soundlessly, the blade slid between the changeling's ribs, an immediate numbness spreading as the poison on the blade did its work.
Can't trust someone who can't even show us their fucking face. Who sees all this as some sort of fucking joke?
They twisted the dagger as the changeling let out a silent, pathetic cry, as a chill creeped across their body, and their vision blurred into darkness. The last thing they saw was a brief glint of light from the tears that ran down the elven woman's face.
Sickle, finish the fucking job.
The changeling expected to feel the blade once more, one final twist of the knife to punctuate the end of their story. But instead they heard pounding on the front door downstairs, the voices of the watch, and the rush of footsteps out of the room and out of the window as the many made their escape, and the remaining senses of the changeling faded.
I fucking knew it. I knew they'd betray us. What was the boss thinking? He said himself they wouldn't be loyal. I told you we should have fucking left them behind.
Will you shut it for one bleeding second? Why don't we talk about how you fucked this up for us? How you fucked around with a traitor screaming at the top of your lungs rather than doing the fucking job and not bringing the fucking town watch down on our heads?
Look, we've got to figure out what we're doing now. There's two of them bound to rat on us, especially as one of those people knows everything about our hideout and can lead the watch straight to our doorstep.
Are you high? I may not have killed the elf, but the freak will only have the worms to tell their tales to. Nobody's walking off a dagger to the heart, let alone the toxin.
Which means that problem is dealt with, leaving us with one little issue of the person who just jeopardised the entire organisation to satisfy her ego.
Whatever
The sickle looked down at the blade in their throat, no words escaping as the life drained from their eyes. The forge watched as the body fell limp, and the note dragged it into a nearby alley.
Right. Is there anything else to discuss?
What do we do about the target?
The watch is already at her house. We assume she's told him everything and both of us are made. We hope the boss doesn't see fit to kill us as well, and we lay low in other cities. We're done here either way. When I said tonight was our only chance, I meant it.